Hi, my name is Gerald and I am one half of Zesty Experience, and in this video series, Cheryl and I talk about our love for cooking and why we started Zesty Experience. We hope that you enjoy this video and we hope to see you inside of Zesty Family Cooking and Connection. Nice. Okay, so today what we wanted to talk about was how Zesty all got started and why we decided to start Zesty and where we're headed. So
that's a lot.
That is a lot.
All right.
Yeah, I think it is a lot. So first of all, let's talk about why you love cooking and what got you interested in cooking. So start back at the beginning.
Wow. Well, I think as long as I can think back, I don't know that I ever had intentional family time in the kitchen, but I definitely learned how to cook from my mom, and I still to this day will make recipes that she makes, and so I don't know, I just always have enjoyed it. And as I grew into adulthood and I just was always cooking for myself and didn't have a lot of money either. So I also wasn't able to go out to eat and and just not being afraid of trying new things myself, right? I was not afraid to experiment in the kitchen. So I think I just started, playing around and I had a little knack for it, and that's I think where it started for me, and just that continued to grow. And I always loved to really just go out, go all out. Let me say that again. Go all out when I had parties, dinner parties, or, I would just really take advantage and cook new recipes. I wasn't afraid to try new things for new people, which always, is not a good thing.
That can be risky.
And yes, it definitely can be. But, and as I had children, I loved the whole other creative side as well, just not cooking, but baking cakes and decorating the cakes and the decorations and the party favors, and just everything had to match, and just was really fun to do all that. But what I guess what I was finding, right, when you go to all that effort, you don't get to spend a lot of time with your guests, right? So you're constantly worried about just needing to put everything out that you've prepared and everything, right? So I think that's, I guess, a lead into Zesty for sure, at least for me. But
it was very similar for me too. I always remember watching my mom in the kitchen. She would always cook recipes from the New York Times cookbook, from Julia Child, and she would entertain for my dad and my dad's colleagues or their friends. And I remember my dad and we would go down to the wine shop. This is in a teeny tiny town in Ridgefield, Connecticut. And we would go to the wine shop, and my dad would pick out a good bottle of wine for the guests. And then right next door to the wine shop was the cheese shop. And they had cheese down in the case, and they had cheese up in the case over here. And, pick out a, delicious brie or blue cheese or something like that that would, go with the wine, and bring all that back and, put together a dinner party, for either colleagues, like I said, or for friends. So that's really how I first got exposed to good food, good wine. Wasn't drinking the wine then, obviously, but yeah, that's how I first got started with good food. And for me, it grew very similar to yours. I wanted to cook for my friends, and I loved cooking for small, intimate groups like that. That's really my sweet spot. But just like you're saying, you spend all of that time, and I really got into the mechanics of cooking, and the details of the recipe and things like that. That's where I really was able to execute on that rather than the creativity part. So I depended on the creativity of the recipe to carry me through. So rather than imparting my creativity the other way around. So, but eventually, as I went to culinary school, became a trained chef, my creativity came out much later.
Of course, yeah. Well, then you have all the skills to be creative, right? Before you have those, you don't know what your boundaries are and all of that. So because you do have boundaries in cooking, you have to execute certain things certain ways.
Yes.
Or else it's just not going to turn out. And then you can throw your creative flair into it from there. But
once you understand the fundamentals. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you started cooking for your friends, for your family, and then what was next?
Well, yeah, I'm an engineer by education, and so I was in that world, and you make decent money, and right, it's risky to pick up and try to do something different, and I had an opportunity at one point to potentially partner with a woman who wanted to open a cupcakery and a cupcake and cookie shop, basically, right when that cupcakes were starting to become the thing.
Yeah.
So this was probably 15 years ago, kind of around there.
Makes sense.
And at that time I was looking at having children, and I wasn't willing to take that risk. And of course, with having little kids, there was no way I could spend 80 hours a week starting a business. But at that time I loved decorating cakes and cookies and all that stuff. And that of course grew as I had children too. But and then I worked for a catering company right before I had children, but all I did there was prep work, and I didn't really get involved with the creative side. Yeah. So I kind of was like, oh, well, that's not exactly what I want to do. I want to do all the creative part as well. But then I saw the hours that she was working, and I'm like, God, I don't know that I can do that either with a family, right? So I just kind of, well, maybe that's just not anything I can ever do. And fast forward, then I met Gerald.
Yes. And for me, after going to culinary school, I worked in the restaurant industry for a long time, 5 years or so, and really honed my skills. But same thing for me, as I got married, as I was thinking about having kids, I knew that I had to get a real job, even though I knew that I had the potential to do something great with cooking and in the culinary field. I knew it wasn't in restaurants. I knew that wasn't my thing, but I didn't know exactly what other direction to go in. So,
well, yeah, the hours in restaurants are crazy, and unless you're the top dog, you're probably not making a decent living to raise a family and. Yeah. Exactly.
So that's why I decided to leave the kitchen, get into sales, do something different, and like I said, get a real job so that I could support my family. So, but for me, ultimately, that ended up backfiring, and I found myself eventually back in the kitchen. But that was just being back in the kitchen or being back in the restaurant was compounded by having a family, and I found it very, very difficult, and it ultimately didn't work out for me, even going back into the kitchen. So, so when I met you, you had suggested that we do something with my cooking, because when Cheryl and I met, I wasn't cooking anymore. I wasn't in the kitchen.
And it had been years.
Yeah, it had been years. And for me, I knew that going back into the kitchen, that meant working the terrible hours. It meant not making very much money, and it meant being away from the people that I love. So I was not interested in doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I kept like, what? We need to figure out what you can do here. This is crazy that you're not, you love this so much, and you're not doing anything with it. Yeah. And so this idea just came about very organically with, I love the whole creative process and everything, but then I don't get to spend the time with people, which is why I'm having a party in the first place. And so it just kind of developed into this, well, what if we teamed up and you do the cooking and I can help there, and yet we manage people's dinner parties for them,
Yes.
so and invite them into the kitchen with us, because I know of Gerald that he loves it when people are in the kitchen talking with him
Yes.
and helping and asking questions, and so I'm like, that'd be really fun to be able to do that.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where the whole idea came about. And
But I was still very skeptical.
Yes,
so I was
you
still
were.
very
Yes, you
skeptical.
were.
So
Okay.
So I first met my coach, and we were at an event, and we were exchanging books. I had self-published a book. He had self-published a book, and we were talking about our books and what we do and everything. And I shared that I really wanted to be a coach. I was eating, sleeping, breathing, being a coach. And I had mentioned this to Steve, and he was just kind of like, Gerald, I don't think that's your thing. And I was like, what do you mean that's not my thing? I've been, pursuing this for months. This is exactly why I wrote my book. I've been really excited about doing this. So yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And he's like, no, Gerald, I don't think that's it. So he asked me, he said, well, what else do you like to do? What else are you passionate about? And I was like, well, I've worked in the kitchen a lot, and I've worked in a lot of restaurants. And he was like, huh, that sounds interesting. And he said, he asked my kids. My kids were running around in the background. And he said, hey, is your dad? Is he a good cook? Tell me about his cooking. And they're like, oh yeah, he's fantastic. He cooks this, that, and the other thing, and yeah, everything's delicious. And he said, that's it. That's what you should be doing. And I was like, well, I don't know. But thank
Been
you.
there, done that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then the next week we go on vacation. We go to Southern California, and we end up cooking for your entire family. So
First time meeting the family.
yes. So
pressure.
no pressure. Yeah, and everyone is there. And I'll never forget, we get set up that day, and we go to the market. We pick out all the things that we need for the meal.
For fish tacos.
Fish tacos, yes. And we come back, and your mom just steps in, and she starts seamlessly, helping us out and everything. And
That's what we do.
Yeah. Your sisters are out on the grill, helping us grill all the fish and the shrimp. And it just comes together in this beautiful, great meal. And then we sit down and we all enjoy it. And I'll never forget your stepmom, Kim, was there. So, and Kim, she runs a nonprofit. She does all the PR and marketing and events for a nonprofit. It's called Pause. Yep. And so she's used to working with lots of high profile people with, very, high expectations, and she knows good food. She knows good food executed well. And she thought that we had done a fantastic job. So
It was delicious.
yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
And at that point I said, I think we got something here. And all of the reservations that I had about cooking had melted away. So, and the idea of doing a personal chef business where we get to grow this together. So it no longer means working crappy hours. So we only work the hours that we can work. So being with our kids is really the most important thing to us. So we revolve our schedule around our kids. And so we don't have to work all the crappy hours.
Right.
We work with the clients that we want to work with. And we also get paid handsomely for this. So people, see this as a premium product that we deliver, and they pay us accordingly. So, and just like I said, I love building this business with you.
It's fun. It wouldn't work otherwise. We wouldn't have any time together.
No, we wouldn't.
So,
we wouldn't.
yeah.
Yeah. So it really is amazing how my passion for food and your passion for food, it's a way for this to come together, and we get to build and create this in exactly the way that we want to build and create this. So
Exactly.
it's really beautiful and amazing. So
Yeah.
and I'm just really grateful that, I'm not exactly sure, where this will take us. The next step is building Zesty Family Cooking and Connection, and making that a great success, and serving our members there. And who knows where it will take us. But I'm so thrilled that we got started with this, and we took the steps that we needed to. And I know
it's hard and scary. And we still have full-time jobs, so this is just something where, we're really wanting to build and have it become our career, and not have to work both.
No longer be a side hustle, but be our passion project that we get to affect a lot of people, and bring lots of love and connection into people's lives. So that's what we're all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Strengthening relationships through food. So
Yes.
Well, I hope this gave you a little bit of background on what Zesty Experience is all about, and what Zesty Family Cooking and Connection, how this all started. And we can't wait to bring you more and more great Zesty memories.
Yes. Yes, and we hope that you, at some point, will be able to share in this journey with us.
Yes, and share your story. So, yes. So, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.